Non-binary is gender fluid, so I live in this kind of gray zone that feels really comfortable for me. When I started to experiment with same-sex relationships was in high school, and this person was a year younger than me. I think we had a mutual friend. I remember we were with a bunch of friends having a bonfire on the beach, and we walked down a little ways to a darker area and made out on the beach, laying down. It's one of those memories that is so vibrant for me still because it was a moment of blooming. When I was first coming out was I didn't feel gay enough because I had dated men. I like to say that I experimented with heterosexuality because no one ever says it like that. When I was coming into more of an understanding of I think I'm non-binary or on this trans spectrum, that I had to look a certain way to do that. I didn't feel I was, non-binary enough or trans enough. A friend of mine at the time talked to me about that and was you're enough. However you identify, however you present, it's enough. I love the idea of sex positivity, this radical self-love. I think it's really beautiful, and I think that I'm trying to practice that as much as possible because I think there is still a lot of shame associated with sex, and I hate that. I think it's all about experimenting, really. You don't have to have it all figured out. Being part of the queer community is about labeling yourself, but also being able to break out of all the things that we've been conditioned to be.
When I was little, my mom was doing my hair. I remember I was 12. And the extent of the talk that my mother gave me was, RC, boys only want one thing from you. Don't give it to them. When my niece came to visit, she asked me and my partner, what is sex? And we drew out a diagram for her. And we're look, this is how it happens. I think that a lot of us queers that had parents that did not give us the sex talk would want to pay that forward, in a way, hey, this is something I didn't get, so let me just do you one solid. I had a teddy bear. I still have this teddy bear. This teddy bear is 35 years old. And this teddy bear's nose used to have fuzz on it. I learned how to masturbate on my teddy bear. Once I learned how to do it, I haven't stopped. I seriously, it's one of the only things in my life that I've done consistently for decades. In my teenage years, I was a walking ball of hormones. And then when I transitioned and I started hormones, testosterone is a hell of a drug. Holy shit. It makes you do some things that you're just kind of wow, you did that for the D? For real? I've always been attracted to men and women. I date women, my partner is a woman, but a lot of my sexual activities happen with men because I'm still queer as fuck, it's kind of funny to think about, but I've always had a fascination with dicks. I don't know why, it's just as much sex that I've had with men, I've never been in love with another guy. Go out and have more sex and be more fucking sexual. Stay true to yourself because you're the only person that you're going to be with for the whole journey, just, be true to yourself.
I think of myself as almost a genderless being, but not a non-sexual being. I'm a non-binary alien. Making out. That's my best move. Really getting into it where it is part of the sexual experience and it's not just kissing, but it's that real connection. I don't know if it's so much about technique. I think it's more of a presence of mind and being connected. I think I'm very good at conveying that. I also like to think I'm really good at giving head, but I guess that's another thing you'd have to take a survey on. Being a non-binary, somewhat femme-presenting person, I get fetishized a lot. And so one of the challenges that I faced is actually feeling discarded. it tends to make you feel like you're running on a hamster wheel. You just become sort of jaded and bitter about it, and I don't like that. Because I do believe in love, and I believe that you should be able to have sex with whomever you want and as many people as you want. It doesn't matter, but I do want sex to lead to something more. I think sex is a great thing, but I think that there can be quite a bit of emptiness involved in an over-sexualized world. You should be able to have respect for people you're sleeping with and not have to compartmentalize sex and respect and love. You know, sex can be romantic, and it doesn't just have to be like fucking up against a dumpster behind an Office Depot or something, you know, like. Don't feel ashamed about your sexuality. Explore, but make sure that you're doing everything that you do for healthy reasons and not as just a means of escape, but as a means of enjoyment.
My first crush was probably Robin Hood and Maid Marian from Disney's Robin Hood, like the Foxes. Both Maid Marian and Robin Hood. I call myself a pansexual, transmasculine, solo, polyamorous kinkster pup. I was assigned female at birth, and I started transitioning a number of years ago. I have slightly different bits than I used to have. I have a flatter chest than I used to have, which is very exciting. So there's a lot of different options for lower surgeries. What I've had is what's called metoidioplasty, and I've had a scrotoplasty. Metoidioplasty is something that's called a clitoral release, and so essentially some of the ligaments that hold your junk back are released, and so you get a little bit more length and can be more physically similar to like what's considered a cis penis. And then scrotoplasty is I've had my labia turned into a scrotum. I haven't had urethral lengthening, which means I still have to sit and pee, and I still have the vaginal cavity. So basically I have all the things, which is amazing. How I interacted with sex had to change. A lot of things that people feel like they need to do is really intense for me, and it does create some pain, but I also really like pain. When negotiating a scene or kink or something with someone, instead of saying, okay, I want you to tie me up, then I want you to flog me, then I want you to do this. Instead of saying all of that, you instead say, I really want to feel humiliated and degraded and hurt. And then when we're done, I would really like to feel held and taken care of. People will interact with you differently if they know how you want to feel versus, a step-by-step of what you want them to do. Some men have vaginas and some don't. There's some incredible girl cock out there, and people really need to get in on that because it's the best.